I'm Dr. George Flinn. You're watching In-Depth TV. I've got as my guest today Dr. Joseph Santoso, an OBGYN who is specialized in GYN, and then he specialized in GYN oncology. So welcome to the program, and I believe he's got something that I believe each and every one of us will understand. There are plenty of resources out there about this topic, plenty of books, plenty of YouTube videos, plenty of all kind of information out there on social media, how to choose a physician, how to choose a doctor, how to choose a healthcare provider. And all of them have their own bias, and you're getting ready to hear the real truth. So this is all you need. You don't need the books. You don't need the other stuff out there. This is exactly what you need told to you from somebody not trying to sell you anything. So Dr. Santoso, Joe, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. I have the same question because I have to pick my own physicians for myself and for my wife and my family. And I asked that question. And you and I are inside the world of physicians, and we have the same difficulty and challenges too. So I asked that question. I kind of boil it down into several steps. How do you pick your physicians? First, you have various resources right now. You have the internet, you have the web, you have your friends, you have your neighbor telling you where to go. Your primary care physician will be able to help you too. There are also hospital referral program and so on. So in the sense, it is confusing because you have too many information. I think I prefer to have a system where you could kind of select and filter those information to be useful to me and to you.
There is so much information out there about physicians, health grades, Yelp, whatever it is, they rate people. And if you've had to wait in the reception area, I don't call it a waiting room. If you've had to wait too long, you get a bad review. Who knows what the truth is? You have insurance companies that will only allow you to go see certain physicians. You have hospitals that only allow you to see their physicians. It's just a mess of information out there. And I didn't mean to misspeak. It is not only a mass, it's a mess of information, because who knows what you should believe and what is true and what is just trolls out there, saying bad things about good doctors. Who knows?
Agreed.
So what is a good system that you can think of?
Well, let me start with what most people use commonly.
Okay.
Most people use commonly is they talk to their friends, family, and their primary care physicians. Say you need a cardiologist. Usually you go to see your family practice doctors and say, which cardiologist do I need to see? And you get that referral. And that works for most of the time. But sometimes you have more serious condition than like cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Then you probably want to have a system that make more sense. So what I recommend is there's several steps. Step number one is you have to know what you want. You can't just go out there and say, I want a doctor. Now, it will be, if you start with that, you probably want to find a doctor who could take care of that general question. That would be a primary care physician, nurse practitioner, PA, things like that. But if you start thinking about certain organ system, then you probably want to know what kind of doctor will take care of your condition. So you have to know yourself.
Go back just a little bit. If you go into your primary care physician, now called a PCP, so a primary care caregiver, whatever you want to call it. You go in there and you say, I want a doctor, and they will recommend. Usually they recommend 3 or 4, and you choose based on probably location, but who knows? Now go ahead. So you say, I want a doctor. How you just go in there and you say, I'm having this and I want a doctor?
I think that works for most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some of us who say, but I want to know more about that. I want to be more involved in that program. So what I would recommend is you make that list of physicians who are available for that particular diagnosis.
Well,
Say I have a prostate cancer
okay, or gallbladder, or something.
gallbladder,
Yeah.
something. In my case, say I want, say my wife had a female cancer.
Mhm.
First thing I would do is I would make a list of how many GYN oncologists are in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
I make that list.
Now, how would you find that out?
Or you could access the internet so
That's where
easily.
Dr. Google comes in.
Correct.
Okay.
You
So
just type GYN oncologist Memphis, you get the list
the
of
list of people.
those
Okay.
doctors.
All right.
You get that, and you combine that with what your PCP recommend. Then this is where you do your homework. You could get those informations of their locations,
Okay.
insurance they accept, hours, all those things you want to match to your preference. Again, it's reflecting of you have to know what you want. So
Right.
you want the doctor,
Right.
you want the time, you want the location that you, and then making sure that it goes with your insurance in that case. You filter those things. This is where it is so good. The internet will provide you. HealthGrade give you some feedback of what other patients have seen those physicians and give their reflection. Now you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because there are people who are really upset with that physician will say things negatively, and in the same time
So
also
you
the
would
positive.
go get your list of doctors, do your research, health grades, and
Vitals.com,
vitals.com or
Yelp,
Yelp.
Angel List, all
Yeah.
those things. You combine that together. So this is work. But interestingly, there are more people at what I experience spend more time trying to buy a car
Yes.
than
And
trying to
fun.
pick
True.
a physicians. So do your work beforehand to do
Okay.
that.
Then what's your next step? Because
My next step is you could do background check on those physicians, but in general, when most of us are pretty much board certified and we're licensed by the state,
Right.
and you could also check at that state website.
Mhm.
I think the most important is once you narrow down to 2 or 4 physicians that you're gonna see, you go make appointment.
I was hoping you were going to say that. I started to interrupt you a minute ago because even doing radiology, even doing mammography, CAT scans, ultrasounds, x-rays, people come in and interview us
Mhm.
and say, I just want to see you. Do I want to come to you for this kind of thing? And I think I pass most of them, but I enjoy meeting with them. And how would you say you would conduct that interview?
First of all, I would call the office. By just calling the office, you get lots of information. First of all, is your call being answered in the first ring, second ring, fourth ring, or a 10th ring? That tells you something about the office. How friendly is the front desk? How helpful? And then when you make that appointment, you observe many, many things in the waiting room.
And just, I want to tell you, I get so frustrated when I call up and say, please listen to our entire messages, our menu options have changed. And I just say, oh no, here we go again. And that's the reason will not allow, and I hope more physicians go to this, I will not allow any automated answering. We answer in a person answers, and they don't say, hold please. They answer and they talk to you. So that's one of my pet peeves, that automated answering thing. Press 1 to do this, press 2, then I'll press the wrong thing, and then I got to start all the way over. So I'm sure a lot of people have a pet peeve with that. So go ahead.
I agree. And I would go to the waiting room and observe how long do you wait and interact with other patients. Other patients are great resources of who this physician.
There's a lot of talk going on in the. I will not allow my staff or anyone to call it a waiting room. I have to call it a reception room, because what do you do in a waiting room? You wait.
Correct.
And our goal is to not wait. We receive you, and then we're going to go ahead and see you. But more and more doctors do this.
Yeah. And interact with the staff, the medical assistant, the nurse, all those non-physicians that interact with you. And you get that very important sense how they work, how happy they are, and how happy they are and how good they work will translate directly or indirectly to a better care.
And just make sure it corresponds with your personality. I mean, you may want to just be all business and no chit chat, or you may, if that's the way you are and that's the way the practice is, it's a perfect match. But if the way the practice is, they want to talk with you and get to know something about you, your family, where you grew up, then if that's too much for you, don't go there. But if it's just right for you, then go there, because a lot of people want to be treated as individuals. They don't want to be treated as numbers. And that's the best thing that has come out of the new doctor training. People know they want to be, there's social media out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to watch out, and watch that they are very private with your information. No, it's against the law to put anything out on social media, but watch and make sure they're not talking about other patients or anything.
Very good point. Finally, what I would do would be sit down with that physician. He and she will be able to interact with you. And then again, you are so right. We all have different personality. I prefer the gregarious one, and some other maybe prefer the one physician that is more introspective, and so on. So do have that interaction, and then at the end, it's your gut feeling. You put all this thing together and you say, yeah, I think I could let him make life and death decision for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very important.
It is, and I'm glad I was looking for the words to sum it up, but it is a gut feeling. And it is, am I comfortable with this person making these decisions? Like if they're doing surgery and, they've got to modify it a little bit here and there. Am I comfortable with them making that decision for me, because I'm asleep, I'm under anesthesia? Am I comfortable with that? And I think if you go through all of those things, I think you'll be okay. What if you don't have a clue really and don't have time to do all of this? How would you just go with your primary care?
I think this is what most people do, and most of the time it works. So the most important part is you are comfortable with that primary care physician.
Mm-hmm.
Another part is you could also ask him or her, saying that, why did you pick that person?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of interaction have you had?
Okay.
And like you recommended earlier, having 2 to 4 names that he could recommend, that would be good choices.
And the other one is, sometimes when it's a semi-emergent situation, is, are they available? Who's available? And because you'll find out if they're available to you on an emergency situation. When you're through with the emergent situation, they're pretty much available to you for some follow-up questions. And one of the most maddening things is to be treated and then not be able to get in touch with something about a minor follow-up question. So I think picking a physician, choosing your healthcare provider is very tricky these days, especially in the days of insurance companies telling you who and where you can go, and everybody else is trying to pick your physician. What you're saying is you need to take charge.
Correct.
I really appreciate it. It's been very stimulating conversation, and it's given me a lot to think about also. I'm sure it's given you a lot to think about. So just remember that you've got a lot of help out there. You can rewatch this online, offline, and make sure that you pick the right person for you, because you're very important. Make sure that healthcare provider realizes that how important you are. I'm George Flinn. My guest has been Dr. Joseph Santoso. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.